Been a while since I've done another video, but it's about time. Now, I know whenever I talk about movies, it's usually horror, but I want to move into other genres. Now, don't worry, I'll still review horror movies, but I'll review other movies too. This is a big movie channel. So, I like horror and I like Marvel, so it makes sense that my first break away from horror would be Marvel. Now, Phase 4 of the MCU has been one big disappointment, but the MCU was good at one point. As instead of Phase 4, which is a steaming pile of goat feces. But what happened to the MCU? That's a subject for another video that I won't make, because there are people who discuss it better than I do. But there are movies that I decided were good enough to make a top 5 best MCU movies list. Now I have this is technically a 3-part video where here I'll talk about the best MCU movies, then the best Marvel movies that take place outside of the MCU, and then finally the worst MCU movies. And then of course I'll probably do the same thing for DC. We're focusing on Marvel right now, so few rules here. It just has to be in the MCU. No TV shows. This will not include any of the MCU Disney Plus TV shows. So no WandaVision, no Loki, no Falcon and the Winter Soldier, no Moon Knight, no Miss Marvel, no What If, none of it. And especially no She-Hulk, because that show friggin' sucked. So, other than that, this is just my opinion. Don't be a jerk in the comments. And anyway, let's move on to number 5. Well, it took him 10 years, but Thanos finally got off of his chair and is going to get the Infinity Stones. And, of course, I should have mentioned this earlier, but there are spoilers for all of these movies. So I suggest you better start bolting if you haven't seen it when you see the title card come up, or to skip to the next entry. But yeah, Infinity War, the movie still holds up. I think it's better than Endgame. Yeah, Endgame is still good. Great in fact, but Infinity War is the best of the two of them. Because this was the big event that brought all the heroes together. Well, Hawkeye and Ant-Man aren't in it. Or the Inhumans, or the Netflix Avengers, or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But mostly everyone is here. This is the Smash Ultimate of Marvel. So, oh yeah, let's talk about what everyone remembers from this movie. Let's talk about Thanos. Thanos is a great villain, and it may be one of the best movie villains of all time. And yeah, you really see him progressing through his journey. This is the Thanos movie. That's what this is. And well, his plan to get all 6 Infinity Stones to bring balance to the universe to solve starvation. And the Avengers don't like that, so they want to stop him. And how do they stop him? Well, okay, here's your big spoiler warning, although I feel like you've probably seen it at this point. So, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so, how do they stop him? They don't. Not in this movie, at least. Yeah, they lose. Thanos gets the stones, Thor chucks his axe into his chest, then, you should have gone for the head. I can't snap, but you get the point. He snaps his fingers and half of all life is extinguished, which that also affects our heroes, literally. He wipes out Bucky, he wipes out Scarlet Witch, he kills Black Panther, wipes out Falcon, Groot, Drax, Mantis, Star-Lord, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Nick Fury, Ant-Man. No, not Ant-Man. The people that Ant-Man was with, Hawkeye's family, as seen in other movies, those last two examples, but yeah, I appreciate the fact that Marvel was able to do an ending like this. And, well, it subverts expectations, but in a good way, because it's a Marvel movie. You expect them to save the day like they always do, but, because they always save the day, it's a legitimate surprise when they don't save the day. And, yeah, you could see it as a cash grab. Are you expecting something else? No, it absolutely is, but hey, it still gave us a good story with good characters and good other stuff. Oh, and because the internet might crucify me if I don't mention it, I loved it when Tony Stark called Ebony Maw Squidward. That was funny. Okay, now let's move on to number 4. Wow, Marvel managed to subvert expectations again. Would you like to know how? They made a good Thor movie. So, Thor Ragnarok is the third of the fourth, most likely a fifth one on the way, of the Thor MCU movies. So the villain this time is Hela, Thor's sister and goddess of death. I'm not that knowledgeable about Norse mythology, so because that's what Thor's based on, along with the Marvel comics, but Hela's pretty cool. She breaks Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I can't really say too much about the script because a lot of the lines in this movie were improvised by the actors. There was a lot of ad-libbing. Just let the comedy shine through without shoving too much of the overly quipped MCU humor that we're used to. Oh, and because Universal Studios still owns the right to the solo Hulk movies, the MCU had a little trouble with one comic storyline called the Planet Hulk storyline. So basically they put the Planet Hulk storyline into this movie. So they're doing Ragnarok and Planet Hulk. Now this isn't the first Marvel movie. I think it might be the first MCU movie, but not the first Marvel superhero movie to include two different comic storylines. Another example being the third X-Men movie, doing both the Cure storyline and the Dark Phoenix storyline in the same movie. But, Loki's back, because we all knew he was still alive. You don't kill Loki. No one kills Loki. Loki will always be there. So Thor immediately discovers that Loki is disguised as Odin from Thor the Dark World and has been in charge of Asgard all these years. Which it just now occurs to me that Thor hasn't been to Asgard ever since Thor the Dark World. Kind of weird. You think he would have popped in every now and then to check how things were going, but excuse me. So basically, eventually Thor Hulk, Loki, and this new character named Valkyrie end up summoning a giant monster named Surtur to kill off Hela and destroy Asgard. So don't worry, all the Asgardians get in their little spaceships and they fly away, up and away. Which perfectly leads into the events of Infinity War, because that movie opens where this one left off, with Thanos attacking the Asgardian ships. So yeah, fun movie, fun time, check it out. Now then, on to number 3.
Werewolf by Night.
I don't know if this technically counts as a movie, but it premiered on Disney Plus. It's a special presentation, but it's not even feature-length. But I guess I can bend the rules a little bit to include this awesome movie about an obscure Marvel character that I bet most people have never even heard of. So, what do I like about Werewolf by Night? Well, this is the first MCU movie to be filmed entirely in black and white. I guess as a reference to Universal horror movies. As well as introducing a lot of 3 different characters that were important in the comics. Werewolf by Night, obviously, but also Elsa Bloodstone and the Man-Thing. Oh, let's talk about the Man-Thing. So, once again, tying into the movie I previously talked about, Man-Thing was a statue in Thor Ragnarok, and now he's a character? How did Asgard know about Man-Thing? Oh, and he's called Ted in this movie. Well, I mean, I guess he was Ted. He was Dr. Ted Solaris? Is that his last name? I don't know. In the comics, so... And he got turned into the Man-Thing, but... We didn't get a ton of Man-Thing in this movie, but what we did see of him was absolutely great. Right, like, his whole thing is that if you're feeling any sort of fear, he'll grab you and you'll get burned up. It's pretty cool. I also like Elsa Bloodstone. She's a cool protagonist. Monster hunter. But enough about them. It's called Werewolf by Night. How is Werewolf by Night? Well, Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night, is pretty good. The makeup is good on him. And if it is CG, then it must be really good CG, because it looks like makeup. I like the scene where he's ripping up the guards. That's great. And getting away with a lot more blood and gore than the MCU is allowed. I guess because of the black and white. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about this one, mostly because it's less than an hour long, but... Yeah, I'd say this is a good one to watch in October. If you want to watch an MCU horror movie, this is probably a better choice than Multiverse of Madness. But, on to number 2. I saw this movie in theaters 10 years ago, and I loved it. So, I was a little worried that it wouldn't hold up nowadays, 10 years later. But I'm happy to say that the Avengers is still awesome! At the time, I think it was, revolutionary to see a big crossover like this. Granted, there's been crossovers before, mostly in the horror genre, but having movies that all take place in a different universe, that's something... the same universe? That's something that I feel like hasn't been attempted ever since, the 30s with the classic Universal horror monsters. And I just now realized that every single entry is talking about the previous entry. Ragnarok talked about the opening of Infinity War. Man-Thing from Werewolf by Night was in Thor Ragnarok as a statue. And now, this one mentions the Universal horror monsters, which Werewolf by Night was a reference to. I swear I didn't do that on purpose. This is all coincidental. I swear of it. But, yeah, it was, despite a lack of Hulk, didn't have a lot of Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America were all great to see together, and Loki was a great villain. He was one of the best parts of the first Thor movie. which was all tilty angles. I guess the cameras was broken in that first Thor movie. But back to the Avengers. It's just, well, it's pure awesomeness. My words wouldn't do it justice. Go see this movie. Why aren't you watching it right now? I mean, finish this video first, but then go watch the Avengers. Please. You will not be disappointed. Now, on to numero uno. If the Avengers and Infinity War were the biggest crossovers for fans of Marvel, then this is the biggest Marvel movie for fans of Spider-Man, like me. I mean, what else can I say that hasn't already been said about Spider-Man No Way Home? It was great seeing all the actors again. Okay, we got Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman, Rhys Ifans, I think that's how you pronounce it, as the Lizard, and Jamie Foxx as Electro, as well as Tom Hardy as Venom in a post-credit scene. But the biggest ones are absolutely Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back to play Spider-Man again. Yeah, and I especially love how they're not just cameos, or they only help for the climax. No, they're actual characters in this movie. And there's so much time interacting. My favorite scene in the movie, if I absolutely had to pick one, is just when the three Spider-Mans are sitting around waiting for the villains to show up for the climax, and they're just talking. Yeah, I like how when Maguire Spider-Man mentions fighting Venom, and then Tom Holland Spider-Man mentions fighting Thanos, and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is disappointed that he didn't get to fight an alien. He references a Russian guy and a rhinoceros machine. And yeah, it's just absolutely great seeing these things together, with a sad ending of Doctor Strange wiping everyone's memory of Peter being Spider-Man in order to save the multiverse. But everything was all good, and at least no one knows about Peter being Spider-Man anymore. But wait, Mysterio and Spider-Man Far From Home had it in a video, and wait, someone in this movie wrote a book about it! Okay. Oh. Okay, yeah. Despite the plot holes in this movie and the occasional less than great CGI, this movie is the perfect love letter for Spider-Man, Marvel, superhero movies, and just cinema in general. I consider Spider-Man No Way Home the best MCU movie so far. But what do you think? What are your guys' favorite MCU movies? Comment down below what your favorite MCU movie is, and I will see you guys next time.